agent. This is a traditional role where the salesman represents a person or company on the selling end of a deal. The second type, which is the buyer broker or buyer brokerage, which is the opposite of sales broker. This is where the salesman represents the consumer making the purchase. This is the most often applied in the large transaction. Okay, now we will talk about the third type, which is disclosed dual agent. Okay, disclosed dual agent. Dual mean مزدوج, which contain the both parties. This is where the salesman represents both parties in the sales process and act as a mediator for the transaction. The role of the salesman here is to oversee that both parties receive an honest and fair deal and is responsible for both. The fourth one is transaction broker. This is the opposite of the disclosed dual agent. And this is where the salesman person represents neither party but handles only the transaction. He doesn't care. He isn't responsible for both party. He only responsible to do the transaction in a appropriate way, Okay. Now we will take the fifth one, which is sales outsourcing. Outsourcing, it means it's from an external entity. Involves direct branded representation where the sales representatives are recruited, hired and managed by an external entity, but hold quotas, represent themselves as the brand of client, and report all activities through their own sales management channels back to the client. It's akin to a virtual extension of Salesforce. Okay, here we have sales managers, qualified and talented sales managers, absolutely aim to implement various sales strategies and management techniques in order to facilitate improved profit and increase sales volume. They are also responsible for coordinating the sales and marketing department, as well as oversight concerning the fair and honest execution of the sales process by their agents. Okay, the final type, which is salesman. Okay, the primary function of a professional sales is to generate and close leads, educate prospects, fill needs and satisfy wants of consumers appropriately, and therefore turn prospective customers into actual ones. They can do this by questioning, which is to understand the customer goal and requirements relevant to the product, and the creation of valuable solution by communicating the necessary information that encourages a buyer to achieve their goal at an economic cost. And finally, a good salesman should never missell or over-evaluate the customer requirements. Okay, now I will talk about the benefits of sales agents. Okay, you can reach your customers effectively by using a sales agent. Instead of having to recruit, train, and finance your own employee, you can use an outside sales agency. A good sales agent should already have the necessary contracts and skills. The benefits of sales agents: use sales agents for building sales without heavy investment and reaching specialists and overseas markets. Thank you.
So if you have any question, you can ask here.
Anybody have any question?
Would like to ask question? No?
Okay, this is but an abstract about sales agency.
Sales for agency.
Yes.
So next student who's okay, thanks for your time. As you can see that next week we're going to have 2 students. So that's next week. Did you present anything before? The first time? Okay. Okay, take one of you. You can choose who's going to next week. And the week after you can do it. It's up to you, can decide which one will make the presentation next week. Who's the next week? And you next week. So after we finish, you can join me here. You can listen to the title in which you can use to make the presentation. Today, I mean, after we finish here, we're gonna complete what we have in agency. So next week we will start with chapter 4. Next week with chapter 4, 12. But today, what we have is to complete agency chapter, and then we'll have an open discussion about what we have left in this chapter and other chapters. Like, you know, for the past few weeks, 4 weeks now, we have to evaluate what we had. So we'll listen to, what's her name?
Anud.
Listen to Anud, then we can see.
Okay, hello everybody. I wanna talk today about the franchising. I think that all of
Can
you
just slow down?
know about the franchising. I wanna talk about it today. Franchising, it's a contract between two independent parties that they are legally and economically independent. And because of that, one of the parties, who is the franchisors, gives the other parties of the franchisee the agreement to use one or more rights of the ownership, intellectual, industrial, all the technical knowledge about that, to use to produce goods or distribute goods and services under the trademark which is produced or used by the franchisors, and according to his or her instructed and under his supervisors in the limited time and geographical area. With his or her commitment to give the technical helping, with obtaining the monetary rewards or access to the benefits and economic interest. The vision of the terminology franchising interacting between each others. Terminology franchising, it can be described by many descriptions. The first one, it can be, we can say about it, it's the practice of using other business successful models, another firm's successful business models, and the second defining is an alternative to building chain stores to distribute goods and avoid investment and liability over the chain. And there is a PS, where there is no specific law, the franchising is considered as the distribution system. Parties and items of the franchising. The main parties of the franchising: franchisors who give the agreement, franchisee who take the agreement, and the customers. Items that must be alignment in the franchising process: trust and credibility, expectation about the future, about this relationship, communication. All the parties of the franchising must have well skills about interacting with each others and perceptions. There are the types of franchising. There are five different types of franchising. Single unit franchising is the similar and the famous one. The second one is sequential franchising. It's an alternative type of franchising arrangement.
Can you explain them? What do you mean by single and sequential?
I don't. The third one, area development. Area development, it's an variation of the sequential franchising. Sub-franchising, often called master franchising, and have two levels of the franchises. Area representation have the similar levels of the sub-franchising, but have delegate less responsibility than the sub-franchising by the franchisors. Thank you for listening.
Oh, that was too short. If you have any question, you can ask here. Do you have an example about franchising? Like?
When there's a successful business organization, have specific and successful management strategies. Some new organization want to weigh or to take these strategies, can give these strategies by the franchising from the
Do you have any name for any company?
No.
Like McDonald's, for example?
I think so.
Okay. Cool, thanks
Thank
for
you.
your time. Okay, we're coming back to the same chapter we had started with. So we haven't finished yet this chapter of agency. You can see, as you can see, that we have three main points to look at. Number one was authority, which we had the authority of the agent, which was given to him by the principal. An agent, somebody, is working for the principal on his behalf to make deals with customers. Now we looked at last time at authority, at the types of authorities: actual, apparent, and authority by position held. Then we had liability. Liability of the agent, liability of the principal, and liability of both of them towards customers. Today we have to look at the duties of both of them, duties of agent and principal. Before this, do you still have any question in your mind about what we had before? Or we can carry on? How did you find it? Was it easy? Fine? Good? I don't think it was. This chapter was difficult. I think it's easy, straightforward. And by today we have to finish it. And next week we can start talking about contracts, chapter 3. Agency is one of the easiest chapters to study, and one of the most practical subjects in business law and commercial law.
I want to ask, does the agent can work for many principals?
Well, that's a good question. We have to answer this question today. This is one of the elements in which we have to look at and to study practical things. How many principals can the agent work for? 1, 2, or more, maybe more. We'll look at that in the next slide. Now we'll look at the duties. Duty of the principal. Tasks. What the principal can do for the agent. What things. I have rights and have responsibilities. My right here as a principal, that my agent has to work for me in accordance to the instruction I gave him. Now the duties of the agent, the principal, he has some duties to do, something, which is the information mean. Number one is information. Principal has to give the information to the agent, everything necessary, all the information needed to complete the transactions, anything we think it was necessary. Appointing somebody to work in my place, in my company, in my business, that person would have to follow my instructions, but I would have to give that person the instructions. From the beginning, I have to tell him, what to do, what time to start, how to deal with customers, how much money would cost, what kind of equality, specifications, all these points and more. These are, we call them informations, and have to be given to the agent by the principal. How can I, as an agent, how can I function, how can I deal with customers if myself, I have no idea, if I don't know? Now, we have to look at the situation in which everything necessary, information relevant to the transactions, the agent would need to negotiate, to conclude the transactions, and to enforce the contract. All these informations have to be handed out to whom? To the agent. That's number one. Number two, as you can see, number two is payments. If you look back a little bit, last time what we have two types of payments. One it's called liability, and the second it's called commission or fees. Students who were sitting here last time, I think you still remember that we had something called liability. And when the principal can be liable and how much money can be, the principal would have to compensate or to indemnify the agent for payments. What kind of payments?
I think when the job is done, when the agent's job is done.
No, that's a duty. It's not liability. Liability, the principal would have to be the agent. How much money depends on how much the agent have spent. If I authorize somebody out of you to be my agent, to do something for me, I would give all necessary information for that person. I would expect him or her to take all necessary actions to complete the transactions with the customers. At the same time, if the agent paid some money in the course of that transaction, if my agent paid some money and this money was necessary to complete the deal with the third party, I would have to compensate him. If I authorize my agent to make some payments, then I would come later, I would pay him. And if he or she feels that it was really necessary and important that they would have to pay some money for my business, you pay some money for my business as my agent, and that was really necessary for my business, then I would not say no. I would have to compensate you, call it indemnify payments. That's called liability. But what we have today here, it's not liability, it's called duty. Duty, the money I would have to pay you as an agent for what you did for me. What you did was a job. You work for me as an agent. I pay you money as a commission, and this money commission for what you've done for 1 week, for 1 month, for 2 years, it's equal to a payment which is called salary. It's like a salary. But it's called here, it's called commission, or here, reasonable fee, established after the fact. Commission here, if you look here, pre-arranged. Something was accepted, was arranged between agent and a principal. Like say paying you $1,000 a month. That's arrangement. We have done it already. Sometimes if we don't have an agreement between the agent and a principal, then we would have a reasonable fee. Reasonable fee. How much money somebody can get in this situation. How much money you can get as an agent in the market. If somebody working, for example, in telecommunication company as an agent for the past 2 years, and he or she gets $2,000 a month, and I sign a contract with that person, but we did not state in that contract how much money, how much fees, how much commission I will pay that agent. Then if we have this dispute, we will look at the reasonable amount of money, something decent for that person, something suitable for what he's been doing for me. We will look at the market, how much an accountant can get, how much a salesperson can get, $1,500, $2,000, it depends on that situation. We can look at the reasonable amount of money, and this money would be paid for the agent. It's a duty, it's a task for the principal. This is all one side of the agency in which the duty of the principal have to be explained. Second task, or second duty, is for the agent. It's called agent duties. Agent duties. What do you expect from the agent? What can you expect from somebody who's working for you? You appoint someone to be an agent, to work for you, to make business transactions with customers. What can you expect from that person?
He needs to be loyal. He doesn't have to make any other obligations with any other parties. He has to be loyal to me.
And
As my colleague said, first he must be loyal to the principal.
okay.
He must follow the instruction and respect it and pay it. And he shouldn't follow any new obligation which is inconsistent with the duties owed by the principal. He must
and we have to understand that the agent has to do the job as stated in the agency. Appointing someone as an agent, he or she would have information, instructions from the principal telling that person what to do. That's my job as an agent. What shall I do? How many transactions can I do? How much money I can spend? All these questions would be in my mind. I will follow the instructions. I will do my job as stated in the agency contract. In addition to this, we have main point, which is loyalty. Being honest, being loyal to the principal. And I guess that for you, it's easy to understand the meaning of loyalty. Someone is loyal. What does it mean? Can anyone explain it? Loyalty? Okay.
Another person should be away from conceiving. He must do his full effort to be with this person you're giving loyalty to.
Okay, loyalty includes many aspects, but one of the main aspects here, not to accept new obligations. What kind of obligations? Obligations that are inconsistent with the main job. If they were consistent, that's fine. I should not do any other job which can be conflicted, which can conflict with my main duties. With main duties, any agent who's working for someone should do the job to his best and should not accept new obligations, should not be working for more than one principal. Unless we have some conditions. Following those conditions, then it would be fine. But in general, one agent for one principal. One principal. Non-new obligation that are inconsistent with the duties. This would bring to our mind the question of the possibility of an agent working for more than one principal. Would it be fine or not? Can we appoint an agent, then this agent goes to work for someone else at the same time he's working for me or not? Is it possible or not? Can I contain my agent? Can I stop him from working with someone else except with me? These questions, we have to look at them and answer them. What do you think here? Need someone else, like an agent. Can he work for somebody else except with me? It's possible. I mean, the general idea, it's fine. You have the freedom to work for more than one principal. But if you would like to do it, you have to be careful. You have to follow the instructions. You have to tell both. We have some conditions. We have to follow those conditions. Otherwise, we cannot make it. I cannot just be working for two people at the same time doing the same job. This it's called inconsistent. Inconsistence of doing the duties. Like I cannot work for two places, two companies at the same time, and those companies are competing. Like to be an agent for computer company, PC, selling PCs and LCDs and electronics. I cannot be working for two companies at the same time doing the same job, because I can understand from the beginning that those two companies are competing against each other. And if I'm going to be working for both of them, I will not be loyal to both. I will not. In this case, I would sometimes jeopardize or undermine my position and undermine my principal's position and situation. And I will not give him or that company or that business what they want exactly from me. Then to be able to work for more than one principal, it's okay. But with having some conditions. I need someone just read this paragraph from me. Go on.
Agents can represent more than one principal, conflicting or potentially conflicting only with follow and timely disclosure, when the different agencies are based on limited from authority to prevent a situation where the agent loyalty to any of the principals is
Okay, that's fine. Now, in fact, agent can represent more than one principal. He or she can. You have the freedom to do so with those conditions in which even sometimes we have conflicting here or potentially conflicting relationship. Even though I can understand from the beginning that my job with the second principle would conflict with my job with my current one. Then in this case, the best solution is to inform both of them, which is called full and timely disclosure. Full timely disclosure. By doing this, I've done my best. I have informed both of them that I'm working for A and I am working for B. You know what I'm doing and you know what I'm doing. I will give them full, timely. Timely means from the beginning, I would have to tell them, like today, working at the Islamic University. If the Islamic University is my principal and I'm the agent, and I would like to work for Al-Aqsa University, then I would have to tell both of them on time what I'm doing in details in order to do my job as stated in the contract between me and the uni. Anyone would like to work for two companies, you have to tell both of them on time, not after a while to tell them, well, I have been working for someone else, okay, for the 6 months, I've been doing a job for a second principal, and today I would like to tell you about it. No. Timely, from the beginning, once you sign the second contract, even before you sign the second contract with the second principal, you have to tell the first one. And you have to tell the second one that you are working for someone from the beginning. Timely and full disclosure, all information, what you're going to do, where, location, timing, places you're going to deal, and companies you have to deal with. And that's condition number one. Condition number two is, if you would like to be an agent for two principals, having two agencies, you can do it with the first condition. And in addition to this, you have to prevent any situation. You have to stop any situation in which my job as an agent or your job as an agent will jeopardize one of the principals' work or interest. No, especially what? Yes. I mean, I should not compromise the principal's position. As an agent, he or she, as an agent, should not jeopardize, should not compromise. Compromise, like, what does it mean for you? It's not negotiate. Like working for somebody at the expense of the second person. I do work for you, but at the expense of that person. Compromise has two meanings. Compromise, it can be like a middle solution for two persons. And it can be, in this case, it's not a middle solution. It's kind of trying to undermine, يقلل أو لا يفعل, not doing my job as stated. Compromise, not doing what I was supposed to do. Well, this is compromise. In this case, my agency is not. It's not going to be legal. I'm not doing it as stated in the contract. This is what's called a breach, مخالفة of the agency. So if you want to work for two, you have to be careful not to affect one of them at the expense of the other. Not to be working for somebody at the expense of the other. Like somebody, let's say that what the famous companies we have here in Gaza, a famous company we have. What companies do you have? Hadar, internet, telecommunication companies. Somebody working for telecommunication, Hadar and Baltel. Let's say that Samiha, she has two shifts. She's working in the morning and in the evening. In the morning she works for Baltel, evening time, afternoon she works for Hadar. She can do the job because she's really good, she's consistent, she's very skilled, educated person, and she can communicate with the customers. She can get so many customers for both companies. In this case, it's fine, she can do the job, but she has to be consistent all the time. She should not compromise one of them, going to the same customer in the morning and afternoon while saying this is conflicting interest. It's a conflict of interest. She cannot do it. She has to be consistent and separate. She has to separate between the two jobs. In addition to all of this, if you look at this point here, in some situations, the agent does not have to have a permission. If you work as an agent for one company, you don't have to have a permission, no acceptance from the principal. As long as there is something was stated in the agency contract between you as an agent and the principal. Those points stated in the contract, in the agency, then any activity of those points here, any activity was stated, was accepted by both sides, a principal and an agent, then it's fine in the future if you would like to make any of those activities. If I state in my agency with my principal that, okay, I'm going to be working for you as an agent, but I would be teaching for so and so companies. I will be working as a consultant for other two companies at the same time. In the future, he or she, as a principal, will not be able to come back to me and say, well, you should not do it. Because in the same contract of agency between principal and agent, this agency itself has stated all the activities which has been already accepted by both sides, agent and a principal. So the agent will have the freedom in the future to work for those activities without consulting the principal, without asking him for his permission. Okay? This all is number one about the obligations. Second point.
Not to make private profits or unjustly enrich himself from the agency relationship.
You know that some agent makes some money out of the agency? This is illegal. An agent can work for the principal to do his job. Some of them can make good money out of this agency. Some of them use and abuse their positions. Some of the agent can use the place, the location, the business to make a profit for himself, and this is not allowed. And one of the main duties for the agent is not to accept or not to make a private profit or unjustly enrich himself. Like how? Some agents can use the van, the car, the truck of the company, of the business, of the principal for their own benefit. They can use them. Some of them can be a taxi driver using the company's car. Some agents using the location, the place, to sell some of his goods, commodities. Somebody's working for a company A. He or she, as an agent, supposed only to sell in this company, in this store, commodities and items belong to the principal. Some of them, what they do, they get some goods and items in the same place and they sell them for the agent, for himself. This is illegal. It's not allowed. And the principal can sue the agent for this. He can sack him. And we have many examples out of this. I know some companies here, and some of them as a principal, they give space for the agent. I mean, okay, you can use the car, you can use the place, but for so and so, they will specify the activities. You can have the freedom to act in my company, in my place, but you have to tell me. But not to make money out of me, not to make a profit, not to unjustly enrich, يغتني, to get more money out of my business. These are the duties on the agent. Fine, any question? The next point is termination. You have many questions here. Many questions in my mind, many questions in the exam about how can we terminate an agency. Easy, difficult. If I was an agent and I would like to end or terminate my agency, can I?
Yeah.
Anytime? Are you sure?
It depends on the contract.
It depends.
On the contract itself.
If I was a principal and I have someone who works for me, what's your name? Dina. And I just want to sack her. I don't want her to work for me anymore as my agent. Can I terminate the contract?
You can find it.
Okay.
If the trust has broken down between the agent and the principal,
Yes, it can be. Yes. Yeah.
we can absolutely end the.
Yeah. What else? What situations? سميها.
The agent doesn't act on my behalf on my instruction.
Yes.
The agency.
General principle say it can be terminated at any time. It's your choice. It's your life. You would like to end the contract of agency, you can end it. No one can force me as an agent to work for him, and I cannot force my agent to work for me. We have freedom of action, of activities. Freedom says here that agent's authority can be terminated at any time. At the beginning of the month, at the end, after delivering some of the jobs, after making some transactions, you have the freedom to end it. But sometimes we have some conditions, some cases, not always. Looking at for example here, Indian Contract Act specifies some ways in which we can end or the agency can be terminated. Number one, if the business of the agency being completed. Easy. Giving Jayda 5 PCs. She's my agent. She wants to take them and sell in the market. She completed the job. She sold the computers. And I got the money and she got the commission. So job is completed. Job is done. Job is well done. Then the agency is completed. It's terminated automatically. That's number one. Number two, the agent can renounce the business of the agents. Renounce, يتخلى عنه. He does not want to work anymore. He can give up. He can leave it. I cannot just keep that person for more time if he does not want to work for me. Number four, كيف يعني؟ Okay, but suddenly that agent doesn't want to work. What can I do? I might get some compensation out of him. We have to look. We'll look at this later on. In the next slide, we will see in which situation we cannot terminate. In general, we say you have the freedom. You can end it. You can renounce. You can revoke the agents here. Like principal can revoke. What revoke? يبطل. يلغي. Cancel. Can cancel the contract the time he or she like. And number three, if the principal being adjudicated, what's adjudicated? Do you know it? Adjudicated. حكم عليه يعني. If he was adjudicated insolvent, if he or she becomes bankrupt, مفلس, then if the principal becomes a bankrupt or insolvent, then he cannot pay money. He cannot be a principal. He cannot commit himself. Then there is no responsibility here. And the agency is automatically terminated. That's in general, but we have some cases you have to look at them carefully. Some cases we cannot end the agency. As a principal, I cannot come to you and say, well, come on, listen, I'm going to terminate your agency today. It's not my option. It's not my choice. I cannot do it. If I do it, I would have to compensate you. I would have to pay you money. One of the cases, it's called, this was a question in the exam before many times. It's agency coupled with interest. When you have a question, you might like this, just talk about it. What does it mean? How can you define it? Agency coupled with interest. In this case, if we have an agency coupled with interest, the principal cannot revoke it, cannot end it, he cannot terminate it. Okay, what does it mean so? What does it mean agency coupled with interest? It's coupled with interest of the agent in the subject matter of agency. I need to give an example to explain it more. Agency coupled with يعني ممزوجة مع with interest مصلحة of the agents in the subject matter. An example of this, like having 50 PCs, 50 laptops, and I gave them to Arij, 50 laptops. She's taken them to the market, to the store. All what she wanted to do is to sell them. I gave her the instructions, sell these 50 laptops, and you will get your commission. She will get the commission out of the sale. Once she sells them, she will get her commission. Now, you know that sometimes it takes a few days, a few weeks, a few months to be able to sell the goods, what's called the subject matter, subject الموضوع نفسه. How can we sell? Can you sell them in one day? Maybe not. Okay, let's say that she's been working for 2-3 weeks trying to sell them, but she sold some of them, but she did not complete. Within that time, can I come to her and say, well, come on, job is done, I don't want you to work for me anymore? It doesn't work. It doesn't work like this. She has to complete that job. She would have to finish it. Why? Because in this case, she will not get her money unless she sells all the items. It can be sometimes many items. Sometimes it can be one item, one thing, one transaction. It can be sometimes one transaction, which costs millions, maybe hundreds of thousands of pounds. Then that person will get the money out of the subject matter. Can you read this for me, Jada?
Where the goods are consigned to an agent for sale, to recoup himself from the sale.
Good. The goods were consigned. تم تحديدها for the agent to sell, for sale. To recoup, to get his money. recoup يسترد, يأخذ, يدفع himself from the sale proceeds. We consigned here when the goods are consigned حددنا. These goods, take them, sell, and then you recoup yourself. recoup تسترد ويدفع لنفسه himself from the sale proceeds عوائد. So the money you can get as fees or commission that will come out of the sale, such as here principal cannot revoke agent's authority. In this situation, I cannot, as a principal, revoke her agency, because how can she recoup herself?
Can he be compensated by?
Yes, in some cases, yes, it can be. Like I will look at the situation. If I change my mind, it's possible, because you have the freedom here. It's possible. Usually, in this case, in general principles, you cannot terminate it. But if I insist and I terminate the agency, which is coupled with interest, in this case, I would have to compensate my agent as if he's supposed to get out of the sale. Like sometimes I give this computer to say, well, once you sell them, your commission is 5% or 10%. Then I would count it. Look, how many laptops, how much the price would be for each one of them, or look at the 10% or 5 or 2%. Then I would have to compensate the agent. Fine? Good. Second case, it's even before the second situation here, even like the same example. Like if the agent was trying to exercise his agency, he sold some items, but he did not complete the whole sale. Everything he was supposed to do, I would not be able to stop him. Just leave the agent to complete his job, his duties, so I can give him the commission later on. The second situation in which I would not be able, as a principal, to terminate the agency, if we have fixed period agency. And most likely, in most cases, we have fixed period. What does it mean? Fixed period. Time limit? Time limit? 6 months, 2 years. Fixed time, fixed period. We specify the time exactly. How long you're going to be working for me as an agent? Okay, let's say if the agency was for 1 year. 1 year. Can I, as a principal, terminate the agency before the 1 year is completed? No. Can the agent renounce his agency? No. The answer simply is no, because if we have an agency of somebody, principal and agent, for a limit of time, for fixed period of time, it means the principal from the beginning has make his mind and his position depending on the position of the agent, and he knows that he can do something else because he can trust the agent, that the agent is going to complete the job. Sometimes it happens like the agent can leave before time. That would make like chaos, imbalance of the power of the principal who cannot contain his business, who cannot find someone else to do the same job. And it sometimes can be the opposite. The agent, just suddenly the principal asks him to leave. What can he do? He knows that he left some jobs for this one. He did not accept one offer at one company to be an agent for this principal. Then we have to look at this case as a complete package. 1 year is 1 year. Fixed time, it's fixed time. Both of them have to keep the contract until the end of the time. Unless we have sufficient reason. I can terminate my agent's agency if I feel that my agent has done something which is inconsistent with my business. Something can affect me badly as a principal. Something here, like for example, disobedience of lawful orders. Asking my agent to do something, but he refuses. So why should I pay you money as my agent if you cannot do the job I ask you to do? And it's legal. I mean, it's stated in the contract within the terms and conditions. You should follow. You should be consistent. You should work for the principal as you have the agreement of the agency between you and him. So, sufficient reason. What else? What kind of reasons can lead the principal to fire the agent, to revoke the agency?
If the agent was rude, or if he was insulting the principal, or if he was abusing the agency's image, or
yes, if his behavior was not nice to the customers. And sometimes, not sometimes, most of the time now, without customers service, you cannot work. You have to look after the customers. There is something called customer service. You have to keep those customers. You have to deal with them in a nice way, in a gentle way. Then, if the agent is dealing with them in a very bad behavior, it means that we're losing the customers day after day. Then it's the right for the principal to ask the agent to leave. It's the right for the principal to renounce, ممكن يلغي, to cancel the agency. And you can can have other situations. You can have other situations looking like this situation. It's not only these reasons. Anything, any sufficient. What's sufficient? Sufficient reason. سبب كافي, سبب مقنع. Sufficient reason. In any case, in this situation here, if it's a fixed period agency, you have to give notice. Notice, it most likely will be like a few weeks, 4 weeks, more or less. And even though you have to compensate that person, if the contract is fixed for 1 year, for 6 months, for 5 years, then one of them can come back at the second person. Agent can come back at the principal saying, well, I'm supposed to work for you for 1 year as an agent, and I changed my life and my position. I refused some offers to work for you, and if you're going to fire me now, I will need a compensation. You have to pay me for the whole period of time. In all cases, you have to give notice. given by one party to the other, whether the A or B. Principal, agent. There's a warning. You cannot leave now, like, leaving me now as an agent, leaving the principal. You cannot just close the shop, because how much money I'm going to lose because you have left. Give it just time, give it time for a few weeks. And I tell you what, most likely, these points will be written down in the agents. How much time can I give for notice? How long the agency can be for? How much money we can be compensated? Everything can be stated in the agency here, between principal and agent. If not stated, what can we do? If there is nothing was stated in the agency. Anyone else can answer? Come on, think about it a little bit. It's just logic. It's common sense. Anyone here? There? No?
Maybe they can negotiate the whole situation between themselves, or if they couldn't reach a compromise, they can turn to law.
Excellent, that's it. You can talk about it, you can negotiate it between a principal and an agent. If they cannot reach an agreement, they can go for the court. They can go for arbitration, mediation. When the termination can take effect, and this was a question before, when the termination can take an effect, at the time when the agent knows about it. If I'm gonna terminate my agent's agency, I would have to tell him that the agency is terminated. You cannot work for me anymore. So when the agent knows about it, when the agent becomes known to him. And for the customers, for third parties, agency is terminated when they know about it. It's about informing people, telling them, well, the agency has been terminated. Be careful, Haya. You can have a question, true or false. Many students mix and do not know the answer. And even agency termination can be sometimes by explicit words, explicit ways or implicit ways, explicit or implicit, by both ways. Like we said at the beginning, come on, we said, what did we say? I can make an agency with somebody, factual, actual agency, apparent, by position. So it's by explicit or by implicit actions, you can terminate the agency. The same way we have granted it. Last 3 slides here. It's one of them is agency and partnership. Last time I did explain this point. Agency and partnership. Partnership, it's a small company, very small company. It can consist of 2 people or more than 2 people. That's a partnership. You can have 4 partners. You can have 50. You can have 20. You see that we have A, B, C, D. And I said last time, each one of them can be partner. And at the same time will be agent. So a partner, agent. We have 20 students, 20 partners. And every one of you is an agent for all of us. We have some scholars, like in English law, it says that partner, everyone, is an agent for other partners. So A is an agent for A, B, C, and D. So everyone is an agent for the partners. And in Scotland it says no, it's not. All of them constitute a new body, which is called, all of them called what? Partnership, Sharaka. So each one of them would be an agent for the partnership. In practical life, it doesn't make any difference. It's the same thing. It means, what does it mean, same thing? It means that if an agent make an action, any transaction with the customers, he or she will bind all of them. Let's say that we have A, B, C, D, 4 partners. One, she's working at from 8 in the morning till 12, noon time, and so on and so forth, 4 shifts. Or one of them is working weekend. If one of the partners, as an agent for all of you, has made a transaction, this transaction will bind the rest of the partners. All of them have to be liable. We look at liability. Even if the agent was cheating as a partner, even if he was working fraudulently, it's our responsibility. We have 4, 5, 6 people as partners. We trust each other. We have good communication. We know each other very well. Then in this situation here, then any one of us is a partner and an agent, and we have to be liable, all of us. So the customers can sue any one of them, A, B, C, D, or anyone, even if we have 50. And the customer can sue all of them together as joint liability or separate liabilities. You can choose any one of them. You can sue anyone. It's up to you. It's up to the customer to sue any one of them.
They can be affected by the suit if the customer chooses to sue just one.
It's up to the customer. It's fine. You can.
Business can be affected by this.
Well, at the end of the day, I mean, if let's say that one of them, C has compensated the customer. He paid the whole amount of money. Then C can come back at A, B, and D. Come on, it's our business. You have to pay for that. I mean, he would come back at them to get his right, because it's equal share, most likely. Even if it's not equal shares, then everyone would pay. Depends on how much money he invests. Depends on the share. There's something called here notice of limitation. If one of the partners have a limited authority, usually, most likely, partners in partnership, each one of them will have full authority. But then in this case here, sometimes we have some of them have limited authority. Limited. It can be only for some specific transaction. One of them, let's say that B have a limited authority in which he is authorized to make any transaction less than £200. Any transaction over £200, he's not supposed to do. So he's not authorized. He's not an agent. He's only an agent for any transaction less than £200. Now, it's the responsibility for A, C, and D as partners to inform the customers that this agent, this partner, he's an agent, yes, but he can make only transactions less than the amount of money. So it's called notice of limitation. It's the full responsibility of other partners. If one of the agent, one of the partners was working fraudulently, was deceiving the customers, was cheating, was working with negligence, ihmal. In this situation, the customer, third party, can come back at all of them. Not only at that partner, no. I can choose to sue all of you as a customer. If all of you are partners, customer, third party, I can sue all the partners. Or I can sue one, even if he's not the one that cheated. No. Because you have joint liability, مسؤولية مشتركة, responsibility. Then this is the case, even here, let's say, if the partner is acting against the interests. Sometimes it happens. One of the partners, crazy. He does act against the interest of the partnership of the firm. There is here merely likely to be liable in tort to a third party. He can be in tort by paying compensation. He can compensate the customer. The last slide we have today, it's not in the book, it's only in the slide. Is it in the book? I think it is, yes. Yeah. It's something called brokerage. Many people mix between agency and brokerage. Yes. Many people mix between them. But in fact, there is a whole difference between them. It's a big gap between brokerage and agency. What does it mean, a brokerage? Same students. Come on here. Anyone in the back there? Go on. Only?
Could be a person who works an intermediary person between these buyer in order to reach a transaction, and he is responsible for any implication of the contract or which start, and he takes a commission for the transaction.
Good. That's good. So it's not like agency, brokerage. It's kind of mediation. It is a division of commercial law, but someone trying to mediate. It's not even mediation. Someone trying to bring both parties together. Someone can bring seller and buyer together. Someone trying to bring two people together to make a transaction, and this person is called the broker, الوسيط. Broker, simsar. Now we have difference between some differences between brokerage and agency, because we don't have much time and this is not our subject today. I mean, at least we can compare agency with brokerage. We have 4 points in which we can compare four differences between brokerage and agency. Number one is, in agency, as we have been studying, the agent is a party. The agent is a party. The agent can sign the contract, he can negotiate, he can conclude, he can sign, he can even enforce the contract, the agent, on behalf of the principal. So he is a party. But in a brokerage, the broker is not a party. What he does or she does is just to bring A and B together to sign a contract. Then after they sign the contract, he's got nothing to do here. He's not a party. He's not a party from the beginning. That's number one. Number two is the money. It's a commission. Number two. Agent can get commission. Agent can get a commission from the principal. So principal would pay the agent commission monthly, weekly, depends on the agreement. It depends. It's like a salary. But in a brokerage, it's not. It's not a commission like this. It depends on the deal. If the deal is done between A and B, he takes the commission. If the deal is not done, if there is no transaction, then the broker will get nothing. And we have many examples like this in many places. The broker can only bring two parties together. After they sign the contract, he or she will get the money as a commission. But before that, he will not get anything. But the agent will get the money. It doesn't matter. The agent will have the commission even if there is no transaction. Number three, conclude. The broker can sign the contract. The agent can conclude the contract, can negotiate and can sign it. He can sign it. Effectively, it's a legal step. A legal step which can be done only by the principal as the owner of the business, who has the power and the authority. But now this step, it can be even done by the agent. He can conclude. He can sign the contract, but not the broker. The broker, he cannot sign, he cannot conclude, he cannot do anything. He just, legally cannot interact with the customer. One of the main points which is really important element is liability. We know that agent is liable towards the principal and towards the customer. But the broker, what do you think? He's not liable. Broker is not liable. Once the contract is done, even if it's not done, it's not his liability. He doesn't care. He just gets the money and just keep doing the same business. Broker has no liability. Okay, thanks very much for your time. Thank you, and I'm gonna see you next week. خلاص أنا